Hi, Dr. Kayapers. How's it going?
Good evening. Very good.
How is the
It's,
weather there?
it's overcast, a little gray, getting ready to rain, maybe even snow a little bit
I
tonight.
see, I see, I see. Yeah. Last week, we talked a little bit about why there are more diabetes. And then let's briefly recap what we discussed last time, okay? So what you said was the recently people have more sedentary lifestyle. People spend time sitting, watching TV, using phones, computers, and then obviously aging population. There is a direct proportionate relationship between the prevalence of diabetes and then the people's age. And then of course there's an unhealthy diets compared with our previous generations, what we eat is not really healthy. And then at the time, I mentioned that there are quite funny ingredients in our foods. There are uh, something like 2,000 the additives the food manufacturers do not have to report to the government because of their lobbying, and then there are some genetics genetics. And the uh, another thing they mention is last time we didn't mention that there are people and then scholars that are arguing that we are more exposed to uh, toxins and chemicals in the environment. They say it leads especially those fine dust. Some people say it leads to diabetes. And I also mentioned that in most products you can find in supermarkets, they add fructose and palm oil. Both of them leads to higher insulin resistance.
You mean
And the
high fructose corn syrup,
yeah, corn syrup is fructose. Yeah,
right? High fructose corn syrup's a
yeah,
particularly big offender, and the palm oil, as you say.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, well, there's also some theory or evidence that suggests, over the past few decades, and especially in the not too recent past, we're certainly exposed to more viral illness, and
Oh, oh,
viruses have certainly been linked to either a genetic mutation or infectious alteration, especially of the defense cells and cell membranes that
I
can
see. Yeah,
possibly have a
yeah.
influence on our immunity and resistance, and how we handle and manage glucose and insulin in our bodies, especially coming off the COVID epidemic.
Yeah, exactly. You just mentioned the COVID epidemic, and then there is a huge increase in diabetes after the COVID epidemic, and then those prestigious periodicals such as Nature's and those things are issuing huge warnings, and then it not only triggers the autoimmune process that triggers the type 1 diabetes, but it also increases the type 2 diabetes too. So this is quite serious actually.
Yeah, there's just more insulin resistance.
Yeah,
So it's a multifactorial problem
yeah,
with all the things you just outlined, and it
yeah,
really doesn't seem to be getting any less.
yeah, yeah.
So I
And
think
then the
across the
yeah,
world.
yeah. What do you think about the recent progress in diabetes research and the diabetes drugs? The diabetes is getting more and more serious, but in your mind, are there equivalent progress in science in the development of drugs?
I think so. There are a number of different classes of
Mm,
drugs that have come out over the past 5 or 10 years. We're
yeah,
seeing several newer classes of drugs that have by and large replaced some of the older drugs like metformin, which dates back 30, 40 years. And now we have the newer drugs, which we practically are bombarded with every day on TV and media ads for these new improved diabetes drugs. And certainly in some sense, they do seem to be a little more effective. They're frightfully more expensive, have been found to have some different side benefits or side effects, if you will. I'm thinking in particular, some of the newer classes of drugs have been touted and pushed for as weight loss or appetite suppressant side effects and uses. And in fact, some of them are, we see clinics springing up and mail order pharmacies selling a lot of them just for that purpose and weight loss, which
I see.
Which is helpful because weight loss is or weight gain in diabetes is certainly a big problem, and in many cases, if you can lose some weight, that can improve your insulin sensitivity and blood sugar control. But I'm reminded that a lot of these drugs are relatively new to the market, and the side effects that they're being used for, such as weight loss or appetite suppressant, are just that. They're not, it's actually just the side effect that some people find beneficial and helpful. But, there's a number of medications over the years that had been used and touted for that. But after they'd been used for a while, they found that there was some significant problems with them. Some of the drugs.
Here's some of the issues I have with those new drugs. Okay, because I'm afraid of being sued, and these pharmaceutical companies are highly litigious guys, so I don't dare to mention the names of a particular drugs. But when I say these things, you basically know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I think they are cheating. This is why I say so. The disease, diabetes itself is defined by higher level of blood glucose, right? So you have high blood sugar in the blood, then you have a diabetes. That's what it says. It's just definition. Diabetes mellitus, it means sweet urine, sweet pee, right? So, but these days, just because the diabetes itself is defined by the higher level of blood glucose in blood, therefore, if you just using whatever the method, if you lower the glucose level in blood, that's a good drug. It's somehow the definition and the substance is confused. For example, there are many ways to lower glucose levels in blood. For example, the liver also produces blood glucose, right? Liver, right? And a few classes of new drugs, I'm not naming that. Few classes of the new drugs kind of blocks the glucose production of liver. So basically, because you just block the liver from producing glucose, of course, there's a significant lowering of blood glucose level, but it burdens the liver so much, and I say it explodes the liver. And another thing, this is also very popular, and then the another class of this new diabetes drug is they move the glucose from blood into urine, so that urine just excretes the sugar more, and then the remaining sugar in the blood is lower. They say, oh, we succeeded in lowering the blood sugar, but I think that's a bit, that's cheating. It's like, when you have a high temperature, you just play with the thermometer, and then you say, oh, you cured the fever. I just have some problem, and then so the without naming particular drugs, there are so many side effects. The allergies, and then the gastrointestinal side effects, this heart problem, liver problem, kidney problem, and then osteoporosis. So let me make a very bold statement. I think they will all be sued at some point. That's what I believe.
Well, I think that's probably reasonable. I mean, it by and large nowadays, the last figures I saw state that it takes about $4 billion to bring a new drug to market. It used to be 1 billion, but now it's about 4 billion. So they've got to sell an awful lot of drugs to recoup that investment in in bringing that drug to market. And for whatever reason, in part of that process, it takes years, and they have to go through multiple steps of testing and trialing. But it's not until it actually is released to market and they can try it on literally thousands and thousands of patients and observe what the side effects or problems with the drug may be over many years. And we've had ample examples of drugs that had that problem, that it looked pretty good when it was first brought to market, and they could study and test it in the late trials and all that. But it wasn't until a lot of different people and a lot of different other problems started using it for whatever purpose that they found that, oh, well, maybe it does have some problems. And by then the cat's out of the bag. So then they get problems, and inevitably when there's those issues, then there's always the lawyers waiting around to make the company pay for it.
Here's the issue. What you said is the bona fide cases. The pharmaceutical companies had good intention, and then they did their best, and then somehow later they found problems. But what I want to mention is there are not so bona fide cases too. They knew it had problems, but they're still going on. And what happened was that you just mentioned that it takes so much money to develop a product, but once I can name a few cases actually. I think you still remember a drug called Avandia and Reslin. Do you remember those cases? Yeah. And then those things were basically, it just destroys the liver, and they were sued, and they settled by paying out $2.5 billion. But once they announced that they have new drugs, the total capitalization of the company, the stock price went up by $100 billion. So for them, making $100 billion and paying out $2.5 billion, they're just making tons of money. So the paying out this compensation, paying out the settlement, it's just a pittance in their calculation. After that,
doing business.
Yeah. And then after that, what's most serious, that they reformulate a little bit and reintroduce under different brand names.
True.
Yeah, so most of the previously banned drugs, they were all sued after killing many people, and then they were banned, but they are paying out a settlement, a few $1 billion. But after making tons of $1 billion, they just sell the technology to another company, and another company using the different name to sell it. So Avandia was banned, and then it resurrected. And then the Feniform, which is the cousin of metformin, is also survived. And Resolin also come in different names. So and another thing which I really hate just watching is all these people making tons of money, and if you keep on doing that, of course, people find out, and then people relate the very bad names with the companies, and then they do merge and acquisitions. They just sell the company itself to a larger company. Then everybody forgets about it, and then news cycle starts again.
Well, it's a big business, and it's big money, or
Yeah,
they they may have trouble with it in this country or in Europe, and then they basically will market it to smaller countries around the
yeah,
world.
yeah,
And as you say, repackage it under a different name and tweak the formula a little
yeah,
bit so they can
yeah,
call it something else, but problem still remains.
yeah. And then I think that's one of the reasons why our product, our diabetes product, or blood glucose from healthy blood glucose level promoting product, they are doing fine without any advertisement, because basically our product is basically made of all natural herbal ingredients, no side effect, and then they were studied at first developed by Canadian government for 17 years. They spent $40 million. And then after we took over from the Canadian government at the University of Calgary, we spent about 25 years, and then we spent about $200 million. And right now we have about 1 million users. And I said that we attained that number of patients without doing any advertisement. Speaking of advertisement, Canadian Advertisement Regulatory Agency. In Canada, there are such a semi-public agency. They approved us, and they allowed us to advertise. We are world number one. That's a huge honor. And the people say, "Come on, there's no such thing like we are number one." But the Canadian Advertisement Agency approved. At first, they were very strongly against such an expression, but we kept on providing data. 3,000 doctors are recommending our product or using themselves, and then we have all these studies. We have approvals of this government, that government, and then we fought with them. Back and the documents back and forth, proving, and then after 3 years, they agreed that, okay, Eastwood, you can use that expression. That's how we proudly show the poster which says world number one. So there's something that went on. By the way,
Well, that brings up a good point, Young-Soo, that people put a lot of stock and faith in this country
yeah,
to get FDA approval.
yeah,
But other countries have, as you mentioned, have regulatory agencies and review boards and agencies that are every bit as stringent, and in some cases more stringent
of
and
course, yeah,
more
yeah,
particular
yeah,
in regards to natural products like yours,
yeah,
which which is truly beneficial and a significant achievement, because by and large, the FDA confines their review and attention to drugs, of which your product is not a drug. So it's
No,
not.
the mentioning about the relationship between our company FDA. FDA contacted us actually some time ago, and then they became very personal. They say, "Oh, one of the officials contacted me and said, oh, his father used the product and they got really well. So, he initiated the process and then he opened the door for our product entering the U.S. market through FDA. So we have the legal route through which, and then with the agreement of FDA to enter the U.S. market actually. So we are not really unrecognized product. FDA fully knows about us, and then they reviewed our product, and then we are selling our product legally in the United States and many other countries. We are selling these things legally in 9 countries, including Canada, Korea, and a few other countries, China too.
Which is quite an accomplishment. I mean, it takes money, it takes years, it takes reams of paperwork to get it through these organizations. So I think that's impressive that so many countries have recognized diabetes.
One thing I'd like to mention is that the first approval is really difficult, and once you accomplish the first approval, and then those regulatory agencies already know you, and then if we submit the new product, they say, "Oh, their company, we know their company," and then so right now, our first approval took 25 years. But right now we have 150 approvals. So we have 150 products that we have approvals from variety of countries. Yeah.
Which is impressive.
Yeah.
So, I think there's certainly accomplishments, not just with diabetes, which sort of was the linchpin or the kind of the base from which a lot of the products have been built, with equally efficacious results and far better tolerated than most drugs.
Yeah. So basically one of the tricks which I'm willing to disclose is all our ingredients, every single ingredient, I insist that this herb is classified as food in at least 4 countries. So, some treated this thing as, so let's say curcumin is treated as food in India, right? So like that, we insist every ingredient of all our product is regarded as food in at least 4 countries. So that's why all our products are free of dangerous side effects. Actually, that's one of the tricks we do.
And it makes it a whole lot safer, a whole lot better tolerated, and certainly something that people should try.
Yeah. Problem with our using all this natural stuff is it costs a lot more than this synthetic chemical manufacturing process. So, but we rely upon consumers' recognition that, okay, here's what they do. Please compare with these pharmaceutical drugs. If you find these things more valuable, please accept that this is more expensive than these other products. And then consumers love our products. So if you go up YouTube, and then type search with Eleotin, Eleotin, there are more than 5,000 testimonials They just they come up and then say, oh, I had this disease, this diabetes, and then I use this product produced by EBMR, and then I got these results. We didn't pay them. We didn't ask them. They just do it voluntarily, and so once it became kind of fad, and then it became quite popular activities among our users. So they just competitively they uploaded their own videos. So when you have time, please go up on YouTube and then just type Eleotin, and then you can find so many testimonials. I think we are the company about which.
Yes, the best advertising is word of mouth. I mean,
these days word of mouth is strengthened by YouTube, right?
and it's very powerful, and that's something that you really can't pay people to do. They've got to be motivated and want to do it because they're excited about the results.
Yeah. So I insist on a few criteria that you just tell your name, where you live, and who's your doctor, so that people can verify. So most people do that. So I really feel grateful for their helping us, and then but they say they are grateful for helping for our helping them, but we are both grateful to each other. Anyhow, that's just about it.
You bring up a good point about the fact that it may be more expensive than some typical name brand vitamin that you buy in the supermarket or at the vitamin store, and it's not as expensive as if you buy a name brand drug. I mean, if you go to buy one of those name brand new category diabetes medicines that we were talking about earlier, those are significantly more expensive than Eleotin.
But my point is, if we compare bottle by bottle, ours may be more expensive, but you have to take that thing forever. But ours tended to attain normal level of blood glucose, and then after that you can quit our product. So if we look at the lifelong whole span, then ours is a lot cheaper. And then so that's my point. So if we compare bottle by bottle, ours is more expensive, but you have to continue that thing forever with a lot of side effects. But ours is no side effect. But after a few months, you don't have to use this thing. That's our selling point to convince consumers.
And you bring up another excellent point, is that most diabetes drugs, when you start taking them, you expect to see results in a few days. You expect to see some lowering of your blood sugar within a few days, a week at most, whereas a natural herbal product like this is going to take a bit longer. It may take a week, it may take a month or two before you really see the balancing of the blood sugar and the diabetes, and then you take it for some more months, and then you can perhaps stop it if you want at some point up the road, as opposed to all the diabetes drugs I'm aware of, you basically are taking them indefinitely.
So for our products, let's say 50% of people begin to feel difference in 2 weeks, and then in a month most people begin to feel difference actually, and then in 2 months most of them they can see the difference. But it is not like you eat today and next day you're different. It is not like that.
Right, on that. There are some differences, but I think the end results are well worth it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kuipers. See you again.